Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in my kitchen and the weather outside in sunny Salford is a bit grim, to be honest with you. It looks like it might be spitting, so get them in. It's spitting. We'll go through the papers, obviously. A few United stories, not loads, I'm not going to pretend, but the usual suspects in terms of takeover stories and all that other stuff, and also one or two other bits and pieces, so we'll get into that. Make sure, before all that, you are subscribing to the channel and you are liking the video. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and hit that subscribe button. And if you're not doing already, if you can get over to Dublin, or you're in Dublin on the 28th of December, there's still some tickets available for our live event there. Me, Joe, Stephen Howson, Adam McCullough, Wes Brown are all going to be in Dublin on the 28th at the Red Cow. There's a link in the description. Go and check it out while there's still tickets available. Let's talk about some Manchester United news then. We had a bit of bad news, didn't we? All bad news, probably expected news yesterday afternoon. There was the fans forum, which is a bit hit and miss in the old fans forum. It's like, what do you really get told? All this other stuff, you know, at the club actually giving you much information, and some of the information they give you seems a bit wishy-washy. But anyway, there was a statement, I think, from the Chief Operating Officer, Colette Roach, and she said, looking ahead to the January transfer window, we are not expecting it to be particularly busy. Not expecting to do much business in the January transfer window. And these are the noises we've been hearing quite a lot recently. And it is disappointing because you look at Manchester United, look at where we are in the league, you look at the fact we've been knocked out of the Champions League, knocked out of Europe, out of the Carabao Cup, of course, as well. And you think, no goals really up front from our attackers. I know Rasmus Højlund was banging them in the Champions League, but in terms of the Premier League, we are pretty drab. Pretty drab, is that even the right word? Pretty disappointing, shall we say, when it comes to our attack. And then they're not weighing with any goals. Marcus has got 2 goals, I think, all season. Garnacho scored a spectacular goal against Everton, but he's not exactly been banging them in. So you think you need something in attack, maybe a Sergio Guirassy or someone like that. Now, that might still happen because it's only going to be 17 million quid if you get him. I think he's got a very low buyout clause. But if we are going to sort of bring in any big names or anybody you think, oh, yeah, he could do a job for Manchester United in attack, whether that's a winger or an attacker in terms of a striker, you're going to have to spend money. And according to Colette Roach, it doesn't look like we're going to be particularly busy. Obviously, we'll be covering the January transfer window. We're going to be speaking to Dharmesh Seth from Sky, speaking to a lot of leading journalists as well, speaking to a couple of lads from the Athletics. We'll be getting you any updates on what goes on in the January transfer window. But it kind of sounds like the club are saying, look, don't expect too much. Some of it, you could say, depends on the takeover, but I think we left it that late now. It's going to be extremely unlikely that when I say the takeover, the 25% takeover by Sir Jim Ratcliffe has a massive effect on the transfer window. There's things like FFP to consider, because we're a club that does consider that. Eric Ten Hag mentioned that when he spoke to Andy Mitten for United We Stand. He said, you know, look, if we're doing any business, you've got to think about the FFP and all the rest of it. So there might be some business to be done if we can move on some players, and then that could free up funds and enable you to bring in a big name. But at the minute, it's not looking too optimistic, is it? And that's disappointing because look at where United are. I think we need some massive, massive reinforcements. There's a story here in the Manchester Evening News, and it says Paolo Maldini's failed Manchester United transfer as INEOS consider former AC Milan ace appointment. Goes on to talk about, it's a bit of a long read here, talking about how Manchester United or Fergie was interested in Maldini, but was given short shrift. I think it was Maldini's daddy. It says here, Sir Alex Ferguson, the former United boss. Thanks for pointing that out. I wondered who Fergie was. Sir Alex Ferguson, the former Manchester United boss. Who's reading this who doesn't know that Fergie used to manage United? Seriously, get a grip. Once tried to sign Paolo Maldini from AC Milan. He said, I did try to sign Maldini, but when I met his father, he was quite formidable. I got a shake of the head. I remember him saying, my grandfather is Milan. My father is Milan. I am Milan. My sons are Milan. Forget it. Yeah, I love that. So Maldini was never coming to Manchester United. And I think at one point Chelsea, or even I think it was Arsenal actually, and Chelsea were both sort of looking at him. But it ain't going to happen. But there's talk here about the fact that United and INEOS considering giving him a job or role at United. It says here, this came from a report in the Telegraph, now the Evening News reporting it, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's INEOS are considering offering him a role at Old Trafford once their bid to acquire a 25% stake in the club is finalised after the success he enjoyed during his playing career. After his last failed move to United, the Reds may want to make sure they snap him up this time around. So we heard that, didn't we, a few weeks ago? about this prospect of Paolo Maldini, and it seems to sort of die down. But the Evening News running with it again, saying it could happen. I mean, let us know what you think. Paolo Maldini, obviously a legendary player. It might be one of them where he has some sort of role. I'm doubtful, I'll be honest with you. But I think with ex-players, ex-legendary players, sometimes they don't make great CEOs because they've not been in that role. Not CEOs, sorry. They don't make great directors of football or sporting directors because they've not been in that role before. They're not quite sure of that role. But someone like Maldini, if you bring him to Manchester United and you've got a good team around him, it could work. And also, if Paolo Maldini rings you up, if you're a manager or a sporting director and you get a phone call from Paolo Maldini, you're probably going to take that call. We have heard in the past, though, people like Rio Ferdinand and Patrice ever being linked with some sort of role and maybe not being too enthused with it because it isn't the role they wanted or they thought it would be in terms of them being able to influence transfers or having a say in things. So we'd have to wait and see. But at the minute, there's a lot of speculation as to who's coming in. Is it going to be this guy? Is it going to be that guy? Is it going to be Maldini? Is it going to be Paul Mitchell? Is it going to be Jean-Claude Blanc coming in a different role? We did have it yesterday that United were in for Dan Ashworth. I think Joe had that in his morning news that Dan Ashworth looks like there's a bit of movement there. He's sporting director at Newcastle United, and that United, Manchester United, that is the only United, we're going to poach him. So we'll keep you posted on that, and we'll keep you posted if there's any developments on Paolo Maldini. That'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Manchester United through to the FA Cup next round, fourth round, is it? Because beat Derby County 1-0 in the FA Youth Cup last night at Old Trafford. My lad was there. I've seen Andy Tate was there as well. Good to see the young lads doing well. Apparently, Jack Fletcher was the star of the show. So, bit of progress there. Hopefully, they can do well in the FA Youth Cup. It's always good when the youngsters do well in that competition, innit? I loved it when they won it a couple of seasons ago. I was at the final there against Nottingham Forest. Garnacho, star of the show. What happened with him? I think Kobe Manu had a bit to say in it as well. Never hear from these lads again, do you? A couple of other things to talk about as well. The takeover. It says here, this is in the Evening News, and it says that Ratcliffe arrival timeline mapped. So Jim Ratcliffe might have his investment ratified before the turkey is trimmed. I mean, we keep hearing this, don't we? We keep hearing it's going to be soon. It's going to be by the end of the month. I mean, it's going to be done by Christmas. There was a story, I think, in the Mail a couple of days ago saying it could be confirmed before Christmas. Great. When are we going to see it? That's what we're just waiting, aren't we? And I'm sick of sort of saying the same thing. Oh, it's going to be soon. It's going to be the next day, a few days. It's going to be next week. When we hear something concrete, we'll tell you. At the minute, it just seems like a lot of speculation, and we're still waiting for anything to be announced by the club. But we need to get something put in place if we are going to restructure the entire football department, which is what it seems Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to do. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be back later on with the Paddock Live. It's going to be myself and Council Drinkwater today. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Make sure as well, if you can get over to Dublin on the 28th of December, you come and join us. Me, Joe, Howson, McCullough, Webby. Uncle Webby's making a cameo as well. And Wes Brown. We're going to be chatting to Wes Brown about all the trophies he won, the Champions Leagues. He won 2 Champions Leagues, don't forget. A load of Premier Leagues. He won 2 Premier Leagues after he retired because he changed the rules on appearances, which is mental. But yeah, we'll get into all that as well. So make sure you can join us on the 28th if you can. I've been Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk outside a pretty dreary, or not outside, inside my kitchen. We're looking out the window. It's pretty dreary. Thanks for watching.